The once again shorthanded Miami Heat defeat the Toronto Raptors in Toronto 112-103, led by the Robinson brothers. Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat basketball channel. My name is Amir, and before I get into the video today, I just want to thank everybody for their continued support of my channel. I am one subscriber away from reaching my goal of 400, so if you could please hit subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. So thank you again for the continued support. So the Miami Heat last night pulled out a gutty victory on the road. This was the Heat's 13th game on the road thus far this season. And the Miami Heat are 7-6 on the road, which is amazing. So 13 of their 21 games have been on the road. That's the most in the NBA. And Toronto, even though they're a mediocre team, they're a tough team to beat at home, and they were basically fully healthy. And so the Miami Heat did a great job. They were missing key players as usual, and we were missing 3 starters tonight. Tyler has been out for a while, obviously almost 3 weeks now. Bam Adebayo is still dealing with a hip injury, so they're being cautious. There's no timeline for his return, unfortunately. So he was out, and Haywood Highsmith. So 3 starters, 2 of them obviously amazing defenders. Bam and Tyler both really good scorers. So the Heat were down a lot of players, but they still got enough contributions from their role players to earn that victory. So to begin in the first quarter, the Miami Heat stormed out to a 22-7 lead in the first quarter, and they were led by Caleb Martin, who crushed it. He looks comfortable. He looks like that knee tendonitis has passed him. He's played 10 games now or so, or 11 games actually this season after missing like the first 10, and he's starting to come into his own. And he had 15 points in the first quarter alone, 3 threes. He ended up finishing the half with 23 points, which is the most Caleb Martin has ever scored in a half for his career. So Heat came out firing. They were able to hit a bunch of 3-pointers, and the Raptors were able to sustain and came back. In that first quarter, they were scoring at a high clip, shooting like 60% from the field, over 55% from 3, and the Heat were able to take a 37-32 point lead going into the second quarter. So even though Martin exploded on offense, the Heat found themselves trailing at halftime as the Raptors continued to shoot really well from the field, and they were down 66-64 and appeared to be heading into another high-scoring, fast-paced game similar to the last 2 outings they had against the Indiana Pacers, where they split those 2 games. The Raptors are relatively young. They're a tall, long, athletic, lengthy team that likes to push pace. They're one of the top 5, I think, pace-setting teams in the NBA. And so the Miami Heat were having trouble on the defensive end, and the Toronto Raptors are not that great, honestly, of an offensive team. And after another rough defensive outing in the first half, Miami was finally able to step up and flex its muscles on defense, holding Toronto scoreless until the 5:34 mark of the third quarter. The Heat went on a 16-0 run, and Miami was able to gain a 14-point advantage, leading 80-66. But another Toronto rally evened the game at 87 in the fourth quarter. So this was a back and forth game. The Heat would take a big lead, blow it. They would gain that lead once again and blow it. And so, again, in most instances, the Heat would usually surrender a big lead and collapse in the fourth quarter. They've been a horrible fourth quarter scoring team. Their point differential has been pretty bad throughout the year. And last night, the Robinsons, Duncan and Orlando, both starting in place for Bam and Tyler, made sure the Heat walked out of Scotiabank Arena with a victory and made sure they didn't blow and collapse another double-digit lead on the road. So Scotty Barnes was pretty quiet last night, but he nailed a triple to erase the Miami Heat's lead. Duncan Robinson then hit Orlando after the game was tied at 87 all. Duncan hit Orlando Robinson with a bounce pass leading to an and one to put Miami back up with three, which was huge. But later in the game, Duncan Robinson also stepped up big and scored on back-to-back possessions, hitting a three, coming off an Orlando Robinson screen, and shortly after hitting a floater off the glass to put Miami up 97-87. So regaining that double-digit lead. In the fourth quarter, the Robinsons combined for 19 of the Heat's 25 points, which is just ridiculous, and also matched the Raptors' point total for the entire fourth quarter. Orlando Robinson was awesome. He played over 30 minutes, finished with his first ever double-double, recording 15 points, 12 boards to go along with 3 steals and 1 block. He was 2 for 3 from 3 also. So he's been hitting that above the break 3, which has been good. Because Podol on the Raptors had like 3 or 4 blocks that game, like 2 or 3 in the first freaking quarter, it seemed like. And so he was able to take him away from the rim to open up the driving lane, which was good. So on the flip side, Duncan Robinson, he played amazing as well. So got to give him his kudos. He finished with 21 points, 7 assists, and 0 turnovers, which is huge. He also had 6 boards. Didn't shoot the most efficiently. It was 9 for 19, 3 for 10 from 3. But 7 assists, no turnovers. He was amazing in terms of his ability to play make, get to the rim, hit some threes, and get some rebounds on the defensive glass. So that was huge. Jimmy Butler was a little quiet tonight. He kind of deferred tonight and let the others step up. So Jimmy Butler had 19 points, 8 assists, which was great. 7 for 16 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3. Only 5 free throws. He was 4 for 5, 1 steal. So Jimmy had a quiet game. Duncan, we got to Caleb Martin again. So he had even though he had 23 points in the first half, he only had 1 point the rest of the game, which is unfortunate. But he didn't really take that many shots in the second half. But he ended up with a monster game: 24 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 for 16 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 1 block. He crushed it. Kyle Lowry, quiet game, played 28 minutes, 3 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 1 for 4 from 3, 2 blocks. So not really a memorable performance with Lowry out there. Didn't really remember anything that he did specifically out there. Jaime Jaquez has been continuing to improve and has been a huge contributor off the bench. He played 32 minutes, 15 points, 2 assists. He was 6 for 13 from the field, only 1 for 4 from 3. 2 turnovers that were pretty costly towards the end of the game, which helped the Raptors come back in the fourth quarter, but he made up for that with some timely buckets per usual. So the reigning November Rookie of the Month had another solid game, which is great. Other contributors: Jay Rich, quiet game, 7 points, 4 boards, 2 for 6 from the field. Didn't do too much last night. Played okay defensively. K-Love did great off the bench. He played for 15 minutes, 8 points, 2 boards, 4 assists. And then last but not least, Nikola Jovic played finally. He had a 3-minute stint, which was super difficult to come in after not playing much, getting much time in the rotation. And he came in and he looked like he wasn't ready. He looks like a guy who hasn't played in an NBA game in a while, that is kind of rusty. The game was too fast for him. He did have 2 rebounds. He only took 1 shot, I believe, which was a 3-pointer at the end of the shot clock, which he missed. He had 1 turnover and 2 fouls in 3 minutes. So he did travel on a attempted layup. When Kyle Lowry drove to the bucket, he cut baseline, backdoor, tried to do an up and under reverse like layup, and he traveled and took like 4 steps. So yeah, he doesn't look ready. I guess defensively didn't look amazing. Had some bad fouls against Pascal Siakam, was taking advantage of the rook or second-year player. So yeah, not too promising for Jovic, honestly, but nonetheless, awesome game. Any games we can win without Bam and Adebayo and Tyler Herro are are huge, especially on the road. So happy that the Heat were able to be pretty gritty and were able to pull out this victory. The next game the Miami Heat play is tomorrow, Friday night, against the Cavs at home. Then Monday, they're going to be going back on the road again to play against the Hornets. And then Wednesday, they're going to be back home to play against the Hornets again, which I will be attending that game. So I'm excited to go see the Heat play for the first time this season live and in Miami. So excited. That's all I have for today. So just want to thank everybody for their continued support. And please, if you can, again, subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to me. Thanks again.